The secret is out. What started as a routine qualifier in Puerto Rico just became the biggest coaching scandal in USA basketball history. For months, fans suspected Caitlin Clark was being held back, but now an interim coach has stepped to the podium and confirmed the truth. From rigid rotations to locker room tension with a familiar fever face, the leash was real until it snapped. Clark didn't just play, she staged a total takeover that proved the old system was designed to contain her, not empower her. The evidence is undeniable, the box scores are screaming, and the coaching staff has nowhere left to hide. This isn't just basketball, it's a declaration of war against the status quo. The shattered secrets of San Juan. For months, a massive secret was locked behind the closed doors of the USA Women's National Team training camp. But it all exploded unexpectedly in San Juan, Puerto Rico. During the 2026 FIBA World Cup qualifiers, what was supposed to be a routine procedure turned into a revelation that shook the foundations of international basketball. A mid-tournament coaching transition pulled back the curtain on how the coaching staff had been treating Caitlin Clark behind the scenes. Until now, the public could only whisper. But when a coach stepped to the podium and spoke with brutal honesty, the world realized there was a system intentionally designed to muffle the most dominant offensive engine on earth.
Clark, who should have been the spearhead, was found shackled by rigid tactical bureaucracy, sparking a firestorm of speculation about internal sabotage meant to protect the veteran player hierarchy. Shadows of injury and staff skepticism. To understand the tension in Puerto Rico, we must look back to the Durham training camp in December 2025. Caitlin Clark arrived carrying a heavy burden after a 2025 WNBA season devastated by lower body injuries that limited her to just 13 games. Behind closed doors, the senior coaching staff, including Stephanie White, who coached her at the Indiana Fever, watched Clark's every move with sharp skepticism. They doubted whether her body could still handle international-level physical stress after a full year spent in recovery rooms and on stationary bikes. Tension began to grow when Clark felt she was fully recovered, but the coaching staff continued to treat her as a fragile, high-risk asset. This distrust planted the seeds of conflict that would explode when the tournament began, where Clark's desire to dominate clashed with the staff's excessive caution. An international debut in shackles. When the qualifying tournament in San Juan began, public expectations were at an all-time high, as this was the senior debut for the Golden Trio, Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Bueckers. However, what happened on the floor left millions of fans fuming.
Head coach Kara Lawson implemented a highly rigid mechanical rotation system where Clark was shockingly placed in the second unit, not the starting five. Despite Clark's jerseys outselling the rest of the roster combined, she was forced to watch the opening tip-off from a folding chair. The coaching staff claimed it was a fact-finding mission, but to viewers, it looked like a deliberate attempt to keep the spotlight off the player driving the highest television ratings. Clark handled her role professionally, but her instant impact upon entering the game proved she was an engine too massive to merely be a bench piece. Magic from the folding chair. In the opening game against Senegal, Clark proved that her class could not be confined by rotations. Despite coming off the bench, she exploded with 17 points and 12 assists, numbers that shattered international standards for a USA basketball debut. She didn't just play, she transformed the court's geometry and accelerated the game's tempo in an instant. Yet, strangely, this extraordinary performance changed nothing. For the second game against Puerto Rico, the coaching staff insisted on the same heavy rotation, forcing Clark back into limited minutes. Social media became a bonfire of rage, questioning why the player providing the most tangible impact was being continuously held back in a role that stifled her abilities.
The disconnect between Clark's dominant performance and the staff's rigid treatment began to signal a deep philosophical tension within the team, a change in command that changed everything. The turning point of this drama occurred when Kara Lawson had to leave the team mid-tournament to return to coaching Duke in the NCAA tournament. Control of the team shifted to Nate Tibbetts, an interim coach who brought a pure professional philosophy from the Phoenix Mercury. As soon as Tibbetts took over, the rigid 5-in, 5-out rotation system was tossed into the trash can. Tibbetts no longer cared about veteran hierarchy or promises of even playing time. He only cared about who generated the most impact when touching the ball. This shift immediately released the shackles that had long bound Clark. Under Tibbets, Clark was no longer just a second-unit filler, but the primary commander given the keys to run the entire offensive scheme. The drastic change in team performance when Clark was unleashed became undeniable proof of the previous failure. The offensive explosion against Italy. The game against Italy became the proving ground for exactly how wrong the previous coaching approach had been. Team USA started the game with veteran starters and immediately got stuck in a stagnant and boring offensive flow. Italy easily closed off passing lanes and made the American offense look like it was sleepwalking. However, everything changed completely when Tibbets called number 22.
In less than 7 minutes with Clark on the floor, Team USA exploded for 23 points, compared to just 5 points scored by the previous starters. Clark dismantled the Italian defense with inhuman vision, creating gaps that were previously thought impossible. Tibbets later stood at the podium and acknowledged without hesitation that the team performed at its highest level when it had a clear structure around its best playmaker. This was the definitive proof. A bold confession at the San Juan podium. What Nate Tibbets did at the post-game podium was a rare act of courage in the world of international basketball politics. Without using vague coach speak, he openly stated that the previous approach was not optimal for maximizing elite talent like Clark. He chose clarity over diplomacy, confirming what statistics and fans had been screaming for days. Caitlin Clark is an engine that needs freedom to function. Tibbets explained that building the offense around the best playmaker is a necessity, not an option. This confession indirectly exposed how the previous staff prioritized distributing minutes like participation trophies over winning effectiveness. Tibbets' words became permanent evidence that behind the scenes, there was indeed a conscious decision not to give Clark full control from the start of the tournament. The lethal duo, Clark and Paige Bueckers.
Tibbets didn't stop at changing the starters. He performed an experiment that set the internet on fire by pairing Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers in the backcourt. This was the dream pairing that had previously only existed in fan fantasies. The result was an offensive clinic that felt almost unfair to the opposition. With two genius playmakers on the floor at the same time, the defense faced an impossible dilemma. If they tried to close out Clark, Bueckers would destroy them in space, and vice versa. The court became vast, and driving lanes opened automatically. This pairing proved that Clark is not just a scorer, but a catalyst who makes other talented players look like legends. Tibbets' courage to run this lineup proved that when the shackles are removed, Team USA possesses an offensive potential never before seen in women's basketball history. Internal intrigue and complicated relationships. Behind the scenes, many believe that Clark's containment was related to her past relationship with Stephanie White. During the 2025 WNBA season, White publicly praised Kelsey Mitchell as the Indiana Fever's primary engine, a statement viewed as a slight to Clark by her fans. When White joined the USA staff, many analyzed Clark's every gesture and facial expression on the bench, looking for signs of unresolved tension.
The history of Team USA leaving Clark off the 2024 Paris Olympics roster added fuel to the fire of conspiracy theories that the American basketball establishment had a systemic pattern of sidelining her. While difficult to verify medically or legally, this perception became truth for the public after seeing how differently Clark was treated when the coaching shifted from a rigid system to a pure performance-based one. Toward Berlin and the future breaking point. The tournament in Puerto Rico ended with Team USA sweeping victories by an average of 30 points, but the remaining narrative was much larger than the score. Caitlin Clark led the team in assists and posted staggering efficiency, proving she is the most complete two-way initiator in the world today. Now, the eyes of the world turn to the World Cup in Berlin. The question is no longer about Clark's ability, but whether the Team USA system is willing to permanently evolve or will try once again to tame a talent that has proven uncontrollable. Tibbets' admission and Clark's dominance in San Juan have drawn a new blueprint that cannot be ignored. If the coaching staff returns to rigid old ways in Berlin, it may be the breaking point for the relationship between this global star and her national federation. San Juan was the warning. Berlin will be the final proof of who blinks first.